I got fired from my first church. Got fired because of how prideful and broken I was, that I had been afraid of not measuring up, so I exaggerated to impress people. I had gotten fired. Literally, earlier in the month, I had been preaching in this service, and it was a big, beautiful church. And within almost a month, I had found myself waking up at 3:30 in the morning to make donuts at a donut and coffee shop that I used to meet students and parishioners at for pastoral care. So I was once pastoring in this donut shop, and now I had found myself covered in flour and grease by making donuts. I remember I was so embarrassed, I was so deflated, so discouraged. And one day, the team I used to help lead came into the coffee shop to encourage me, to come visit me. And I was mortified. I just felt so humiliated. The manager came up to me and said, "Zach, can you clean the windows?" And I remember I started crying. I'm like a grown man in a coffee and donut shop, crying because the manager asked me to clean the windows, because this team of pastors who I used to be a part of would see me cleaning the windows. It was so humiliating. I looked at my man and I said, "I will do anything. I will deep clean this place with my teeth. I don't care. I just can't do this right now." He said, "You got to do it, man." So I remember I took off my apron, I grabbed the cleaning supplies, and it was 2 walls of windows. And the last window I would clean would have been where the pastors were sitting right next to. And I walk out and I start cleaning the windows, and I am just furious and so humiliated. I clean the next window. I'm like, I could probably leave. I could just quit, my wife makes enough money. I don't need to be making donuts somewhere. And I clean the next window, and I start actually becoming desperate. And I clean the next window, and I start crying out to Jesus. And I'm turning the corner, and Jesus said, "I don't desire this to be humiliating. I want you to be humbled. Because for some apparent reason, Zach, you think I'm more at that table talking about ministry programs than out here cleaning windows with you." And it was like freedom. And I cleaned all those windows. I placed my face up against that window, and I blew a great big raspberry. And 2 weeks later, I quit the donut shop. But Jesus had made a deposit in me and reoriented how I experience humiliation. It's actually the same story of a humbling moment narrated by the wrong person. It's usually narrated by yourself, narrated by the world, or narrated by Satan. But when you allow, even maybe invite, Jesus, how would you narrate this specific moment? And how could I look a little bit more like you by the time this is all done? This humiliating moment could actually become a very humbling moment. And I believe humility is the greatest virtue of a Christ follower. I think what makes Jesus stick out in the world is humility. In this moment of not getting a job, or going through a divorce, or not being accepted for that program, or being fired, whatever it is, how might you ask the question, Jesus, this feels so humiliating. Could you help narrate it, that I might look a little bit more like you in humility and not find myself in a pit of humiliation?